I lost 28 pounds and 16 inches, and people keep asking me, how did you do it? So, this video is all about what I did. Now, welcome to She Reigns Live. I am Jessica McLean. I'm a transformational speaker helping women entrepreneurs live the limitless life God has for them. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button for more content on mindset, identity, faith, and organization and productivity. All right, let's jump into the story. So, back in 2022, actually at the very end of 2021, it was just sort of the turn of the year. I was sitting and reflecting about my year, about my goals for the upcoming year, and I went and stood on the bathroom scale and said, "Oh my gosh," because I had hit the heaviest weight I had ever been at in my life, and that just broke something in me. And I said, absolutely, this is not okay. I absolutely cannot continue down this path. This is not a thing I want to continue to do. Okay. So that was like my moment, my turning point moment where I said, something has got to change. So as I was sitting there reflecting on my year, setting my goals, I realized that, you know what, I had moments like this before where I got to a weight I wasn't happy with. I stood on the scale and went, oh my gosh, something's got to change. And then I'd start working on my diet. I'd start exercising more and I would lose some weight, but then I would just bounce right back up. And my weight would go down and it would go right back up. And it was this perpetual cycle of losing weight and gaining again and again. And things were not changing. The overall trend was not in the direction I wanted it to go. And so as I was praying and reflecting, God said to me, Jessica, this year, I don't want you to focus on what you want to do this year, but rather focus on who you want to be. And that was light bulb moment for me because in the past, I had always focused on diet, exercise, etc., right? The things that we know contribute to your level of health and fitness, but I had not focused on who I wanted to be. And so basically, the reason why I was changing my diet, changing my habits, exercising more, etc., was because I was trying to fix a problem. I was trying to fix myself. And really, my decisions were rooted in shame, right? They were rooted in feeling bad about myself. And the problem with making decisions that are rooted in shame is that they are not sustainable. They're not sustainable for two reasons. Number one, because when we make decisions that are rooted in shame, when we don't feel shame anymore, then we don't continue to make the decision. So if it is a habit that you formed out of a feeling of shame, feeling bad about yourself, not liking what you look like in the mirror, whatever it is, right? Then what happens is when you no longer feel that shame about your body, you're not going to have that same motivation to keep you doing the habits, to keep executing on the habits that you use to get to the point that you're at. So what will happen is you'll get to a certain point where the shame goes away. When the shame goes away, your motivation goes away, and then you'll just slide right back into the habits that you had before. So then it becomes this back and forth, right? So basically, you feel shame, you lose weight, the shame goes away, you go back to your old habits, you gain weight again, the shame comes back, you lose weight, and it just becomes this like pendulum swing of shame and not shame, basically. So that's the first reason. The second reason why shame is a terrible motivator is because shame likes to keep you doing things that will keep you feeling shame. So even though it is a feeling that we typically want to get away from, it is a feeling that has a tendency to perpetuate itself, especially if it's toxic shame, which is a whole other video that I'm not going to talk about right now because like that's a whole video in itself. But shame is a feeling that tends to perpetuate itself because it tends to lead us to make decisions that are self-destructive. Shame typically leads to ways to try to get away from shame that typically actually are shame inducing. They're self-destructive. So when we feel shame, we will typically look for substances, look for distractions, turn to things that will actually make us feel worse in the long run, even though in the moment they might make us feel a little bit better. So when we're feeling shame, we might turn to ice cream, cookies, cake, something that's full of carbs and sugar and fat and grease, something that just like makes you feel good, like makes your soul feel good and your body feel bad. Okay. It might lead us to distraction, to staring at screens, mindlessly doom scrolling for hours and hours, staring at the TV, binge watching entirely too many episodes of some show, and then later on going, oh my gosh, I just wasted how many hours staring at the TV when I really had all these things I need to do. So shame tends to cause us to, or inspire, motivate us to take actions that actually perpetuate shame or make us feel worse, make us feel more shame. So it tends to perpetuate itself. And so in the past, because my health related decisions and my health related habits had really been rooted in shame and feeling bad about myself, it caused me to then only make better choices until I stopped feeling bad about myself. And then I just go right back to what I was doing previously. So I really hadn't changed anything about who I was being, how I saw myself, how I was thinking. All I did was change my actions without changing the underlying beliefs and feelings and thoughts that had come to that. And ultimately, without changing the identity, how I saw myself, that had led to me getting to the place where I was in that moment, right? Getting to that heaviest weight. And so when God said, focus on who you want to be, what he was saying was, you need to make a shift in identity, not a shift in just your actions and your habits, but you need to make a shift in your identity, because it's one thing to go and work out, and it's another thing to be a woman who works out. It's one thing to eat healthy. It's another thing to be a woman who eats healthy, or just to be a healthy, fit person. So when you believe I'm a healthy, fit woman, you're going to make the choices that a healthy, fit woman would make. In the book Psycho Cybernetics, he says you cannot outperform your self-image, and your identity is how you see yourself. Your self-image is how you see yourself. And so I had to change how I saw myself, because the truth is, and I'm sure that you already know this, there are a million different diets, a million different eating plans, a million different workout plans, a million different apps, videos. You're on YouTube right now. When you finish this video, you could literally just type in exercise videos and get a cajillion different videos in all different languages, of all different lengths, all different types of exercise. There's so many different things that you could do that would get you to where you want to be as far as your health and fitness and body are concerned. So it's not a question of not knowing. It's almost never a question of not knowing, because the information that you need is right at your fingertips all the time and it's free. Okay. So it wasn't a question of not knowing what to do. It was a question of not executing, because I wasn't being the person who executed in that area consistently, because I didn't see myself as being a healthy, fit woman. So what I had to change was how I saw myself. I had to change my identity. And actually, instead of rooting my identity even in fitness, I rooted my identity in my purpose. I said, you know what? I'm a transformational speaker. I'm a person that changes lives. What does it look like, sound like, feel like to be that person? And that person, she is strong. She is powerful. She is fit. She has endurance. Because guess what? Standing and speaking for long periods of time, it takes endurance. I've been a performer for years. I've danced, I've sung. I used to be on the step team. I was the president, actually. And I can tell you that one of the things our step coaches told us was, you need to get in shape, because performing takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of strength, and you don't want to be standing on stage going because you can't breathe. because you're out of shape, you're not fit enough to perform for 7 minutes without getting winded, right? So being able to fulfill my purpose and do what I'm called to do requires me to be at a level of fitness that was higher than where I was at the time. And so I said, I need to get in shape, not because I feel bad about my body, not because I don't like what I see when I look in the mirror or what I see when I look on the scale, but I need to change my habits to be congruent with the habits that the version of me who's speaking on stages to thousands and thousands of people, the version of me that's out here changing lives through her speeches, her workshops, her trainings, her presentations, the version of me that's traveling and speaking and training and transforming lives, she has to be fit. She has to be fit and strong and healthy and powerful so that she can deliver powerfully the things that God has put on her heart to give. And so because of that, I said, I have to be this person. Therefore, I'm going to the gym. And actually, I didn't even go to the gym. I went to the living room. Okay. I had a Beachbody membership already. All I had to do was pick something, pick a series and get started. And so I started working out. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't even start difficult. I started with beginner yoga. Okay. Beginner yoga. It was the easiest, one of the easiest workouts I could have chosen. And guess what? I lost 28 pounds and 16 inches in a little less than 4 months. And it felt so easy, not in every moment, but it felt so easy because I decided that I was the kind of woman who that was what I did. I decided I was the kind of woman who had self-discipline. And so in those moments where I didn't feel like it, I said, would a disciplined woman skip her workout today? No, she wouldn't. And I would work out no matter what because I decided that that version of me was disciplined. And so I said, I'm a disciplined woman. I'm going to be disciplined no matter what. It could have been 11:30 at night and maybe I procrastinated all day. Guess what? I was on the mat doing yoga at 11:30 at night because I said, I'm a disciplined woman and I am not skipping my workout today. So it was shifting my identity from woman who is overweight, woman trying to lose weight, woman who makes herself go to the gym, etc. Right? It was shifting my identity to transformational speaker who is fit, strong, and powerful and disciplined. And because I decided that that was who I was, those are the choices that I started to make. So then the habits that I needed to implement were born out of that identity. The choices that I made were born out of that identity. And when I came into a conflict between my vision and my feelings, between my identity and my feelings, my identity won out over and over and over again. And so because of that, I was able to stick to my diet without taking cheat days. I was able to work out every single day for more than 200 days in a row. In fact, the only thing that stopped me was a funeral. I'm telling you, okay? Like I was so disciplined. I was so consistent after years of going around and around in circles on the merry-go-round. I was so disciplined. I was so consistent. And that was what caused me to get to the point that I got to and to be so successful with it because it was born out of identity and not out of guilt or shame, feeling bad about myself, beating myself up, not feeling good about myself. And it was born out of not just trying to change my habits, but it was born out of shifting how I saw myself. And that was what really made the biggest change for me. So if you are looking at these last 4 months of the year, looking at the goals maybe that you set in January, the goals maybe that you have for third quarter or fourth quarter, or just things that you want to accomplish in your life that you haven't checked off those boxes yet, and you're thinking, I know what I need to do, I just haven't been executing consistently, take a moment. And rather than just focusing on what are the things that I need to do, ask yourself, who do I want to be for these last 4 months of the year? And once you've really taken the time to think about who you want to be for the last 4 months of the year, then what you choose to do and what you execute on is going to be born out of that, okay? And when it's born out of that, that is when you will see not just change, but lasting change. That's how you get off that merry-go-round of getting results and going forward and then backward and forward and backward, that pendulum swing like I talked about earlier. That's how you get off of that pendulum, that merry-go-round of results, and you start making progress and going forward and forward and forward and continuing to create momentum that will transform your life. Now, if you liked this, if this was helpful for you, I'm going to be talking more about the details of it and, of course, more great things about faith, about mindset, identity, and productivity. So make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay.